Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football and Dill. Even with all the chaos that we see unfolding in this sport, there is one thing and one thing only that we can rely upon every Sunday afternoon. Fresh batch of the AP Poll Top 25. And I'm going to let this one fly right off the bat. There are still some fraudulent teams that we see in these top 25 rankings. I'd even go as far to say there are some fraudulent teams that we see in the top 15 as well. But there's also some teams that I think are coming on in the month of November as well. We got a lot to get into, a lot of statements that were made on Saturday. Before we get into it, as always, y'all let it fly in the comment section. By far the best episode we do all week because of what y'all let fly in the comment section. Let it rip. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And Dill, I'll put you on the tee box here. Let's go with this. Biggest statement that was made was from what team?
Is it starting to be Texas? Is like their offense finally waking up a little bit and like gonna put them in a position to be more competitive and get themselves back into the mix a little bit? Like I'm not sure they're there yet, frankly, and it's a little disappointing that their defense maybe has played the way they have over the past couple of weeks. Like giving up that many to Mississippi State is probably not ideal. But I saw at least in the first half of that Vandy game, Hill and Simmons were monsters.
Yeah.
They were dominating and their alphas were going. And then Arch Manning, like I just feel like he might be waking up and at least finding some semblance of confidence here.
So I will agree with this. It was cool to see their best players really dominate on defense. I'm talking about Anthony Hill. I'm talking about Colin Simmons because it's not like they've been bad, but it's felt like at times they're not having the impact that they maybe should have on a football game. I might push back a little bit with the Arch Manning stuff. Number one, because golly, do I need to see it a little bit more consistently before I'm ready to buy back in. Number two, Dill, he did make some high-level throws. There was a lot of quick game. There was a lot of screens. The way Coach Sark,
okay, in fairness, like they have a ton of weapons. Like I see what Ryan.
Yes, but here's my concern. Here's my concern is that tells me I don't know how much confidence Arch Manning or Coach Sark has an Arch Manning at the quarterback position. You would think if he has a little bit more confidence in the way Arch Manning's playing, maybe we're asking him to do a little bit more down the field. Is that am I reading too much into that?
I think their offense has always been pretty screen heavy. I mean, they especially
yes, that is true.
This
that
quarterback,
is true.
like I'd probably be heavy into it too. But I did think there was enough, like again, getting Jack Endries involved a little bit more and being able to like just throw on some rhythm and getting the ball again, not like downfield, but just being more consistent, like not completing less than 50% of your passes. I don't know. It feels like, especially Ryan Wingo, him really starting to just dominate football games is like fun if I'm Texas because he is the guy. And for so long in this year, it felt like they just could never get any rhythm. I don't know. They start turning the corner on offense, and if Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill can play big-time football, they put themselves back into the mix. Again, I'm not like totally ready there to throw them into like that top 10.
Yeah.
But they're starting to wake themselves
back
up.
Watch.
A little dangerous.
Team to watch. And they're going to need to play some better football if they want to get through the remaining half of
the Georgia one's fun. The Georgia one now, I mean, A&M's going to be the real tough one, but Georgia's going to be like, okay, that'll make me think that A&M one could be really fun.
That's a nice segue into Georgia. And I know the Georgia fans and we've been going back and forth. I'm not saying they don't deserve to be ranked in the top 5 because I think they've built that kind of resume. I'm just not sold. And the difficult part is like, all right, what team am I going to bang the table to put in front of Georgia? It'd probably be the Oregon Ducks, but I can see why Georgia's ranked above Oregon. I still don't know if I'm totally sold on this Georgia team. What say you?
Well, I don't think anyone's sold on the talent. It doesn't feel like that defense has what they've had in the past. Like, who's that like first round pick? I don't even know if they really have anyone there. Like,
I will say this:
that is one thing. Like, we just need a couple of coaches get fired, like a Billy Napier, Hugh Freeze. They had talented teams. They're losers. Like in their bones, they are losers. That's just what it is, unfortunately. Kirby Smart is very much the polar opposite. That dude, there's a reason he makes the money he makes and frankly deserves every penny of it because you just feel like, okay, he's going to win these games. He's got that in him.
There's not been a year where Kirby Smart has earned his money. Even in the national championship years, there's not been a year where he's earning his contract more than this year, in my opinion. Because I
It
don't. This
doesn't
is
feel like a great team. I'm kind of with you. It
no,
feels like a
it
good
doesn't.
team, but not a great
But
team.
you got Kirby Smart as a head coach, and that matters. And I will say this, stock up on Georgia. I will say that offensive line getting back healthy, like you could tell they're just like piecemealing that together. They were playing banged up. They were rotating a ton. Finally, we're healthy going into that game against Florida, moving some bodies, really figuring out a great way to use Zachariah Branch too, which look, I don't think this Georgia defense is going to be elite. I just don't know if they have the dogs to be elite this year. I do like what I'm seeing from Gunnar Stockton in that offense, and you are right. This team has winning in their bones. Can we go to this one? All right. How about, we probably have to say this. Ohio State, to me, that was a little bit of a statement game. Say what you want about Penn State specifically on offense. That Penn State defense is still really good. And Julian saying looked freaking awesome. I think you could make an argument that Ohio State, I was always under the impression that, look, Ohio State's the best team in the country, but I felt like Indiana and Texas A&M were in that tier. And I'm not saying Ohio State's on a tier alone, but I do think there's some separation at the top in terms of how I evaluate the best teams in the country. Because I think Ohio State, to me, looks like comfortably the team that is playing at the highest level right now.
I mean, that passing attack is just incredible. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know if you watch that game. For anyone who did watch that game against Penn State, it's just like when balls are, if there's a scratch of space, you're hitting it. Those wide receivers are creating a ton of space in their own right. So, like, the windows are there. Julian Saints just like a robot. It feels like, yeah, that's a team that feels like they're just
I wanted to see Julian Saint do it because, you go back to that Texas game and it felt like they didn't really have their foot on the gas pedal. It looked like they were trying to protect their young quarterback against Texas, which I don't blame them for doing because Texas couldn't move the football. I wanted to see Julian Saint against a really solid defense play the way he's played the last couple of weeks, and he did that at home against Penn State. How about this conversation real quick, though? Oklahoma, Notre Dame. Like that might be the conversation of like, oh, it's two college football playoff teams. Who are you taking? Well, I'll ask you this. What team head to head, what team wins that football game?
I probably lean Oklahoma. I think
Oh,
Oklahoma
see,
has
I'm
a
up.
higher gear to get to, and I like Notre Dame's offense better than Oklahoma's. But I think if Oklahoma can get what they got from John Tier in the second half of that Tennessee game, in like kind of more what he looked like early on in the season, I just looked at Oklahoma defense is unbelievably good. I think we finally don't have to deal with they're only good because they played bad teams. That is an extremely athletic, extremely well coached, extremely aggressive defense.
The,
Notre Dame, I think they're starting to round into form on defense. Like they don't look like what they did. I still wonder when they play big time teams, is that defensive line good enough? I don't know. I think they both have their strengths. Notre Dame on offense, Oklahoma on defense. I just have a little more confidence in probably what John Mateer can do when he's going.
that would be a money game, by the way. Man, if that could be a playoff game round one, sign me up for that. So, and I
don't
really
think
do
either
think
team can get themselves high enough at this point to make it happen. Maybe Oklahoma can. They got a tough schedule, but
I think Oklahoma could. And look, Notre Dame to me, I feel very comfortable saying if they, and I'm very interested to see the playoff rankings that are going to come out Tuesday night to see where they put Notre Dame. This team to me feels and looks like a college football playoff team. And I think that defense, and you missed one thing on Oklahoma, and I don't know why you refuse to acknowledge the run game. That is a monster thing that Oklahoma has found in the back half of the year, which was my biggest question for Oklahoma going back to September. You want to win these big time games, and Oklahoma's going to have to win those kind of games late in the season here. Going on the road, being able to lean on a run game, Oklahoma has found that. That's really, really big. I got a fraud team, Dill. Got a fraud team that I need to get off my chest. And I don't think I've really dove into them because they haven't really cracked the top 15 yet. Virginia at 12 is getting away with murder every single weekend. Now, hat tip, right? Because this Virginia team consistently figuring out ways to win games. Okay, so they burst onto the scene with a win Friday night against Florida State. And I'm not taking away from that. Florida State, people thought highly of Florida State back at that time. We did. I had them as a top 10 team. They beat Louisville, which is a nice win on Pitt. Dill, they had 237 total yards against Louisville, and they ended up winning that game. Got outgained by almost 150. They got outgained on the road against North Carolina by 100 yards. They only beat Washington State by 2 points. I'm looking at Virginia and say, like, hard to argue with their resume being a top 12 resume, but holy smokes, they do not feel even close to a top 12 team in the sport.
Yeah, no, you're not going to get any pushback from me. I think, like, again, they have not had a particularly difficult ACC schedule, as I'd say it. I don't think they had a particularly difficult non-conference schedule either. Yeah. But again, like, they are winning, and there's a lot of teams out there that like, I don't know, I'm looking at Miami, like, they're not doing it. Like, they're not winning. I think Miami's clearly a better team.
Is Miami out of the playoffs?
They need a ton of help. I think it's going to be really tough to drag their way back in. Yeah.
Okay, so here I'll ask you this because this will be a conversation. Miami, Notre Dame, both 2 losses, both going to be in that conversation. Should they
I don't envy that. I don't envy being in the room for that because that is tough.
It's hard, man. And here's the thing: is Miami does have the head-to-head, but they have. And the Louisville loss is not inexcusable loss. We think Louisville's a good team, and the SMU loss is not in it. But it's just the way Miami has trailed off. There was a time where I thought Miami was the best team in the sport. In classic Mario Cristobal fashion, this team just feels like they're falling off the rails late in the season, similar to how they did last year. That's a separate conversation for the Miami fans. We'll get into that a little bit more. Yeah, that is a tough one. Dill, any other teams that you think are coming on in a big way that we think we should put some note into?
Is it crazy to say USC? I was very impressed with that win last night, frankly, and I know Nebraska's got their flaws, but like that's a big road win and
something again, we haven't seen Lincoln Riley do very often.
They basically need to beat Oregon. Like that's kind of their path, and I don't really see a likelihood that they lose any of those other games.
Yep.
I don't love their chance against Oregon, but like they have shown an ability to play that sort of level. Like they play Notre Dame pretty tough and not like they're playing their greatest game either. USC feels like a team that, especially with the way their offensive line is kind of settled in, even with all the injuries, they get that room a little bit more healthy and they really start to like go, if you will. I think that could be a really kind of dangerous offense, at least.
I am intrigued by USC too. And I will
honestly though, I will say I almost feel like there's more fallers than risers right now. So USC just kind of continuing on top wood, if you will. Like, you kind of have to.
I agree. And that is such an important conversation. You hear me say this all the time. It's like, who are the teams that aren't trailing off? Because we have a serious problem and it's a depth problem. Not a lot of teams can get to November healthy. It's a violent sport. And when these teams get a little bit banged up and you have to start stringing together 3, 4, 5 quality wins week in, week out, you see teams taper off, right? It's kind of what you're seeing with Miami a little bit. Okay, USC and say, very disappointing loss to Notre Dame on the road. You come back home, get healthy in the bye week. Weren't even that healthy in the football game. Go on the road to Nebraska, run the football pretty much any way you want, and you get a road win that we haven't. And here's sorry, I'm kind of rambling now about USC. They do have an element of that football team I trust a lot. And like you said, there's not feels like this year there's not a ton of teams that you trust week in, week out. Like USC's offense, whether they're running the football, whether they're throwing the football, you kind of trust them to put up some points. And I was really impressed with, Jaden had his worst game of the year against Nebraska.
To win with him and Mekhi Lemon basically doing
non-factors.
Very impressed.
Really impressive.
Utah also, like, I know I've been a big time
kind of Utah hater
jumper, and I'm not totally convinced he is that guy anymore. And maybe like a little, I'm not saying like move on from him, but I think maybe that old mantra of like, oh, Kyle Whittingham really gets the boys going. This is a tough physical team, all that stuff. I feel like maybe that's not exactly what it was 10 years ago. They're playing some good football. Devin Dampier looked pretty good. I think I might need to like start.
They could be the pick in the Big 12. And again,
I don't need to stop disrespecting them the way I have been.
Yeah, I agree with that. 100% agree with that. I don't like to venture into predicting Big 12 stuff. Utah seems to be emerging in that conference. Michigan at 21. The conversation with Michigan is, okay, they have what should be an easy pathway to being a 2-loss team hosting Ohio State at the end of the year. As Michigan fans know, like, there's nothing easy with Michigan playing football on Saturdays this year. How are you stacking, how are you evaluating Michigan going into the month of November?
I mean, this is probably where they belong. Like, they're very up and down. They're very young. Like, they still haven't quite found that level. Again, I think
consistency. They haven't found that level of consistency.
No, exactly. That's like kind of what I was hoping to imply. It's like, again, we've seen really good ball from them. That Washington game, especially in the second half, excellent. Offense was really humming. Defense looked awesome. And then you see that USC game too. You see that first half against Purdue, I should say. Like, just like some moments where it's like, you got to put it all together for 4 quarters more consistently, at least 3 quarters in a game. It's just too much fits and starts right now to really put them up into that top 15 kind of level right now.
Any other teams you want to?
The Tennessee Vols, it's a shame that they're not going to have a shot, because I do think that's a very good football team. I think I may have read something, and this may have been someone trolling me on Twitter about like Tennessee thinking about like not having Heupel be the coach. I
think that's a troll. Has to be a troll job. Has to be a troll job.
No, the guy had a lot of followers, so it's like I don't know. I like, Twitter is what it is. It's
They'll turn it into like our dad, just believing everything he sees on Twitter these days.
No, I checked the follow count; it was pretty big. But
doesn't mean squat.
I think Josh Heupel's. I think that team's really good for all the injuries they've dealt with, and like at least the future where they're going. Tennessee,
100%.
I think the improvement from those wideouts year over year, really big time. I really like what they have. I don't think they have a shot anymore, but like, it's a good football
team. There's no making Tennessee fans feel good right now, right? It's just that loss sucks, right? One shot at that environment last night was freaking sweet. There's no way to make you feel better, but this team's got the right guy, and they're going to be a very formidable program for however long Josh Heupel's there. I 100%, and I'll say this: they're much better. They're much better than the 23rd team in the country. I feel very confident saying that too. All right, we'll pause it there. It kind of gets spooky in November, right? You're going to see some big time movement in these rankings over the next couple of weeks, couple of monster games as well. We'll break down the playoff rankings when they come out Tuesday night. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.